Hey, viewers and viewers, my name is General Red Strategist and welcome back to So You're Being Hunted, episode 459 or somewhere around that region now. So, hope you guys are all doing well and you're enjoying my So You're Being Hunted series still. Of course, been having we had a chill out episode last time, another podcast style one, and it's going to be the same here as well. And then there's an interesting generation of the terrain going on over there. Strange watercolour, where I think the land gets a bit shallow there, which is kind of interesting. Not really seen that before now, have we? Let's go and have a look at that, ladies and gentlemen. So, it's a Wednesday afternoon, as when I record this. I say Wednesday afternoon, quite late in the afternoon, in fact, because work is pretty much done for the day, and it's been quite a busy day, I have to say. So I'm having a bit of a chillax now as it gets to, a late hour. And basically I'm just going to have a little bit of recording, just to unwind, relax at the end of a working day. Been having seminars throughout the day, a few of them in fact, talking about all kinds of interesting things. But that's not what I'm going to be talking about in this podcast style episode. I was actually thinking of something else. I had something else in mind. Because during... actually, just a little bit earlier, after I finished my work for the day, I was actually on YouTube, just, keeping up to date with a few videos as I had a cup of tea, just relaxing and all that. And I noticed a short trailer had come out, Poppy Playtime, Chapter 2, ladies and gentlemen. Just landed as of when I record this. I mean, it'll be a few days after by the time this video goes out. But, you'll remember, I did Poppy Playtime Chapter 1, back it was a Halloween special I did on the channel last year, 2021. And so, basically the thing with that is it's going to be an episodic series of games, and we hadn't really heard anything about what Chapter 2 was going to entail. But essentially, it looks quite interesting, from the trailer at least. So you're going deeper and deeper into the Playtime company facility and all that. There's all kinds of childishly, childlike but creepy looking nightmares awaiting for you down there. There's like a sort of pink spaghetti woman monster, by the looks of it, who looks quite interesting. So when that game eventually comes out, I've no idea when it's going to come out. It probably actually said the date on the trailer, and I just didn't even clock it because I flipping clicked off it straight away after the trailer itself had finished and didn't even wait for the date to show up. It looks very interesting, and because I played Chapter 1, I probably will take a look at Chapter 2 at some point when it comes out. Maybe when it's released, who knows? Because that's the thing about Poppy Playtime. I believe the intention of the devs is to release it chapter by chapter. So technically you will have to pay for each one, but I can't imagine the cost for each chapter will be that high. I mean, the cost for Chapter 1 is currently like £4 on Steam, which is actually pretty cheap, to be honest. And considering, you do get a game that can last you about an hour or so, I don't think that's too bad or too unreasonable. I don't know. Then again, I know nothing about business in the video game industry, so who knows. People in the comments will probably be like, "Oh, Red, what the hell are you talking about? You know nothing about business and all that." And you know what? I hold up my hands and I say, I'm probably the last person to come to for business advice. But actually, it just got me thinking as well. Because, whilst like I say, when Poppy Playtime Chapter 2 comes out, I would like to play that, because it does look very colourful, very charming, and also very creepy. It did sort of remind me, though, that there had been a bit of controversy with Poppy Playtime's devs. Something to do with NFTs, something like that. Because obviously there's been the wider sort of controversy on the internet as of late regarding NFTs and how overpriced they are and how stupid they actually are, and yet people buy them. I'm not majorly informed on the subject, but that's really why I'm actually raising this as a topic of conversation right now. Because apparently, the devs of Poppy Playtime, there'd been some controversy about, like, say, them releasing a potential series of NFTs that apparently contain some of the backstory and the lore to the Poppy Playtime series, which was a bit of a weird choice. By all accounts, was controversial, and I can understand why, if indeed I'm understanding the story correctly from what limited information I know about it. But, it's just a strange one. Maybe someone in the comments can actually fill me in a bit more with what that was. I don't actually know. I haven't really been following it. Because I remember at the time when I heard about that, I did do a very quick Google search, but I didn't really find anything that was particularly informative on the subject. So maybe it's just one of those things that, I don't know, maybe something happened. Then again, maybe it's one of those things that the internet likes to kind of blow out of all proportion. Because Lord knows that definitely hasn't happened before, has it, ladies and gentlemen? But yeah, like I say, if you know what the deal is with that, let me know. Is it just part of the wider controversy about NFTs and all that? Then, speaking of NFTs, God, you're going to get whiplash from this conversation, ladies and gentlemen, with these sudden changes in direction, but I was actually seeing a video recently on Twitter. It was a spoof video. I can't remember what the name of the person who did it, or made it rather, actually was now. Essentially, it was a comical video. Those of you who... Oh, Mocky. I had no idea that this boat actually had a name. this boat model. Guess I just had Speedy Gonzales my way past it all the time and never even noticed. Good Lord, what am I like? Yes, it's the Mocky, everybody. What was I talking about a moment ago? I was talking about a video I'd seen on Twitter. So, essentially it was a spoof. Those of you who are UK based, and indeed probably quite a few of you, will have heard of a show called the Antiques Roadshow. And essentially it's TV which isn't exactly rip-roaring, let's be honest, let's be brutally honest about it, but essentially people who have precious heirlooms and antiques in the family can go on that show, they can put them on a table in front of an antiques expert and get an expert valuation of how much that antique might actually be worth. And so essentially this video I saw on Twitter was effectively a parody of that, where someone, which was basically Antiques Roadshow's first NFT, and it was essentially poking fun at how stupid the concept of NFTs actually is as a business model, and how ridiculous they are. But, yeah, I'm sure, again, somebody in the comments probably has seen that video as well, and can probably tell me who the guy who made it was, that video was. And what maybe his channel name is, if he has like a YouTube channel or something. That's your homework, ladies and gentlemen, viewers and viewresses, those of you watching this. Find me the name of the person who made that video. Find me the video, find me the name of the person who made it. Do they have a YouTube channel? If so, what's it called? Because I'm sure there'll be people out there who'd be willing to give that a try, perhaps. But yes, getting back to the original topic of conversation, once again, more whiplash, everybody. Talking about, obviously, Poppy Playtime. If you haven't seen my Poppy Playtime Chapter 1 playthrough, it's well worth a watch. It was one of those games that a lot of people, when it came out, a lot of people were playing it on YouTube. And, of course, me being completely unoriginal, decided to be an absolute slave to trends and just play it myself. Because why the hell not? But having said that, I did like... when I played it, I did like it. I thought it was very colourful, had a very distinct visual style, and I think, with the grab pack mechanics in it, I thought it was very interesting, and it actually kind of stood out. And what it did very solidly, which is always what you really want, most of all in a game, right? So that was good to play that back in the day, back at Halloween 2021. And so, like I say, I'd definitely be interested in playing Chapter 2. Because from what the trailer that was released recently for Chapter 2 shows, it appears that the grab pack, you now get another hand for it, like a green hand, which presumably enables you to do something different. And possibly, by the looks of it, it enables you to essentially climb up larger distances or something, just judging from what I saw in the trailer. There's also a possibility in it that the little Huggy Wuggies who you saw in Chapter 1, they might actually be factoring into the story in some way. Because there's one shot within the trailer where it's almost like you're playing whack-a-mole with the grab pack, except you're basically blasting the tiny little multicoloured Huggy Wuggy dolls. So it's certainly very interesting. We don't know if Big Huggy Wuggy is going to come back in Chapter 2, because at the end of Chapter 1 he just sort of fell down the shaft and kind of bonked his head multiple times on pipes. And probably did himself a serious injury, but yeah, Who knows? Maybe he'll come back, maybe he won't. Or maybe this one, Chapter 2, will have its own villain, which, like I say, looks like it's going to be the big sort of pink spaghetti woman toy monster who appears at the very end of the trailer. But yes, other than that, the visuals of it look fantastic. The map design looks like it's going to be fun as hell. Definitely up for playing more of it. Because I always love my indie horror games. Because the thing is, I've been on a real indie horror binge lately on the channel. Those of you who've been following my uploads the last few days, you'll have been seeing I've been releasing a lot of bonus content that essentially consists of indie horror games and demos that I've played. Played this past week or so. And there's been some fairly amateur ones, admittedly, that I've played, which haven't really been that standout. But there've also been some really cracking ones that I've played recently, which have been really, really good. So obviously there was that Rojo, or Rojo one, the Spanish horror experience one, which if you haven't watched that one, that is well worth going out and watching my video on that one, because it was a short game, but it was really well made, I felt. The visuals were fantastic, and it was clear that a lot of effort had been put into it. And it was an interesting premise, exploring the apartment of a political extremist who has mental health issues. So definitely go and watch that one. Another one which I've published on the channel more recently than that was the 9 Child Street, which was a demo. Well, basically it was a demo, again, another itch.io horror game, which, the thing is, like, having played a fair number of horror games now, both short indie horror ones and longer length horror games, after a while you do kind of build up, I would say, a bit of resilience to certain types of jump scare, things like that, and as a result you do to some extent maybe become a bit desensitized to it. And so, I'd say that of the various indie horrors that I've been playing lately, some of them have had moments where they get me, like, oh shit, that was a bit of a jump scare, but I wouldn't say I've played many that have kind of left me with that sort of, or rather where I've had that kind of pervading sense of dread right throughout the playthrough. But 9 Child Street, the demo of that got me good, I'm going to say right now. So when I started playing the demo of that one, at first I was just like, okay, this is probably just going to be another, bog standard short indie horror demo. But as I played it and things started to happen in that one, it definitely got more and more interesting as we went along. And it got to that point where just little things were happening that collectively began to really creep me out, and I started to get that kind of all-pervading sense of dread. The sort of sense of dread that I haven't really ever had with a horror game ever since I played SCP Containment Breach. Containment Breach still stands as one of my favourite horror games that I've ever played. And 9 Child Street, the demo, actually did, to an extent, kind of recapture that same sense of dread that I'd had when I played Containment Breach. So that was what made that one really, really stand out. And another one which maybe didn't stand out for me as much as 9 Child Street, or stand out as much as Rojo, but which again I have played recently and which probably will have gone live on the channel by the time this episode of Sir goes out, was a demo for an upcoming horror game called The Bridge Curse: Road to Salvation, which I believe, well, it's based on a Taiwanese urban legend, and I'm assuming it's also made by a Taiwanese dev studio. That one was interesting. I don't think it was as good as 9 Child Street, the demo for that, in the sense that I didn't really get the same sort of sense of dread from that one. But having said that, I still think that's one to watch, because visually speaking it looked very fantastic, and it does have an interesting premise to it, admittedly, and I do like to sometimes to play horror games that haven't horror games that haven't been produced by American or British dev studios, just because sometimes horror games from other dev studios in other countries, coming from different national cultures and backgrounds, things like that, you get some really interesting concepts and ideas and just things that come about in those which make them kind of stand out. It makes me think, for example, when I did my playthrough of Detention, which was a Taiwanese horror game. If you haven't watched my series on that, it's about 9 episodes and it's really, really good. That was a really enjoyable horror game. especially because, you know, it was a sort of 2D side scroller, point and click, which made it stand out from a lot of other horror games that I played. So if you haven't watched that one, that's not a recent playthrough. I played that a while ago, but it was just really, really good. That's all. It just really stood out to me, and for that reason, you know, the Bridge Curse Road to Salvation just sort of stood out in kind of a similar respect for being something that, even though maybe it wasn't the scariest thing I played, the demo of it does kind of make me feel like I would like to see more of that. Whoa. Whoa, whoa, that was a weird little lag spike then, don't know what that was about. Hopefully that didn't just cut out my audio a little bit there. But in case it did, I will just reiterate. The Bridge Curse Road to Salvation, having played the demo of that, even though it didn't scare me as much as other indie horrors I've been playing recently, it certainly did sort of grab me enough to make me think I would like to see more. So who knows, maybe I'll keep a tab on that as it develops. Maybe I'll even wishlist it on Steam, who knows. We'll see. So, yeah, man, I've had a bit of a rambling conversation just about games I've been playing on the channel as of late. But that's usually how it goes here. And the thing is, no doubt there'll be more indie horrors coming on the channel sometime soon. Because the thing is, I do check itch.io fairly regularly. And as well as that, you know, also checking Steam too fairly regularly, just to see if there's any demos or free games, short free games that have come out recently. Damn, you fucking took that guy out for me. That was nice of you. There we go. Got that. Let's check the bodies. We'll take the old shoot gun. There we go. And you. Well, you don't have anything, of course you don't. Alright. So yeah, I always like to check itch.io fairly regularly. I used to sometimes play a lot of horror games from Game Jolt, but admittedly I haven't really been on Game Jolt a lot all that recently. But yeah, itch.io is a really good site just for finding short indie games. It's so great. Like, there's a lot of stuff on there that's either free or is name your own price, where you can try downloading it for free and just giving it a whirl to begin with, and if you then like it, you can pay money to the dev. Show them some support, which is always worth doing, in my opinion. So yeah, it was great stuff. It's a great site just for finding all kinds of stuff. And the thing is, there's a lot of horror content on there, which you can download and you can play. It's just really, really fun to go on there every so often. Find a load of new and trending short indie horror games that are going for free. And then, you know, play them, because it's just a bit of good bonus content that you can put out here on the channel. And the thing is, you know, there's not just horror content, there's games of all genres, visual novels, adventure games, platforming games, shooter games, everything, basically. Everything you could want, everything you could look for, which is why it's always worth checking. And hence why I've been on a real horror binge at the moment. But the thing is, I have a directory on my computer in my documents, which contains a load of other horror games that I've downloaded at various points from itch.io, from Game Jolt, etc., which I actually downloaded quite some time ago. In some cases, maybe like a year or more ago, but I've just never actually played. So, you know, if ever I'm lacking for stuff, I can always dip into whatever I've got over there. Though, yeah, though personally, you know, like I say, I do kind of prefer to maybe sort of stick with stuff that's new and trending and all that, but yeah, it's fine. It's not that I don't do older ones from time to time and all that. Go for you, there we go. And you are going to go down next. Got him. Why is it that their bodies now sort of freak out a bit like that? It's very strange. Yes. I'm sure devs from Den of Thieves will be taking note of that and will be working on it. Now, I imagine Den of Thieves at the moment are probably quite busy with a Reinvented Edition, since that's not too far off release now. Or with it, you know, releasing sometime in April, hopefully. So yeah, actually, yeah, Den of Thieves have probably got their hands real full, just sorting that out. Hence why we haven't really seen any bug fix updates for regular So You're Being Hunted as of late. And why there haven't perhaps been as many dev streams as of late either. But yes, that's just me supposing there, ladies and gentlemen. Who knows? I'm not exactly privy to the ins and outs of what various indie developers and games companies get up to, so I could be completely wrong, who knows. Now, there's a funny sort of droning sound in the background, in place where, well, in my block of flats at the moment. I'll talk about that in a second once I just get back to the centre island. So yeah, as I was saying, basically I got back from work today, and I don't know why, but when I was coming in through one of the entrances, I noticed this really loud, sort of like static buzzing sound that was coming from the other entrance of the building. It was really bizarre, and I didn't know what it was at first. I was like, what the hell's making that noise? And it sounded like it was coming from one of the intercom boxes on one of the entrances of the building. I was like, what the heck why is it producing that noise? I mean, luckily though, once I had got into my apartment and I'd shut and locked, the front door, and of course because the thing is, where my apartment is, the entrance to it, the porch, has like two doors. There's like a fire door, and then there's the main door of my apartment. And basically, once I'd shut both of those doors, the actual sound from the lobby basically was almost inaudible. But it was just really weird when I came in, because I had a look at the intercom box by the entrance in question, but I couldn't really tell what was going on with it. It was just like, it was really crackling quite loudly, and I just sort of heard it again just then, which was a bit strange, but hey, it's probably Nout. Who knows? Maybe it is that someone in one of their apartments has just got the receiver for the intercom hanging loose from its handset. I don't know, something like that. Because I imagine in all the apartments in this building where I live, because it's the case in mine, so I assume it will be the same in the others. The intercom, if you try and ring one of the apartments from the front doors, basically it rings a telephone setup inside the apartment in question that you're trying to communicate with. So I imagine that someone, like I say, has just let their receiver kind of come off the hook or something. But anyway, this is not exactly a gripping topic of conversation, and we've just cleared another island, so you know what, that's fine. We'll wrap up here, I do think. In which case, thanks for joining me then, ladies and gentlemen, and hope you all enjoyed this podcast-style episode of Sir. Predominantly about Poppy Playtime, but touching on a load of other stuff. Again, as I say, probably whiplash is what you're all suffering from now from that conversation, just the way it veers about all over the place. But in the meantime, Facebook and Twitter links down below, along with a link to my propagandist channel for anyone interested, and if you enjoyed, a like is always appreciated. But other than that, I'm signing off now. Goodbye, everybody. Arr, give me those yellow lums, give me the treasure. The green lum over here. More lums. Yellow lum there. Oh, switch there we are. Can't miss that now. He extends the bridge towards that strange face in the tree. Arr, where be the treasure? Just where the treasure be at. Okay, that voice is just... Oh, hello. Yep, that's what we do with you. Gorilla pirates. Oh, he's such an idiot. Pulls off the edge and blows up. He must be full of gunpowder, yar. Hit the switch. Time that gate, but avoid these swinging axes. Arr. God damn it, it's more rolling barrels over here. I guess we can evade these. Yeah.